Hey kids, welcome back to another children's message. Imagine that you live with me in a country that is ruled by a king. And let's imagine that we were given the opportunity to select the next king. I'm guessing that we would all want a king that was very strong and powerful. So we might be tempted to go looking for a guy who looks kind of like him, right? Look at those big muscles. That guy looks strong. He looks like a king, right? So maybe we'd look for a guy like that. Or maybe you're thinking, I want a king who's like a genius kind of a guy. Well, you might look for someone like him. He looks really smart. If you look at his whiteboard behind him, he's got all kinds of equations and diagrams. He looks really smart. So you might want a king that maybe looks like him. Or maybe you're thinking, I want a king who is like a really well-dressed, successful looking kind of a guy. So maybe you'd look for someone like this. See his fancy suit and tie? He looks like a really successful businessman, doesn't he? Now, there's nothing wrong with dressing nice and being really smart and even being very strong and powerful with big muscles, right? Nothing wrong with that. But there are more important things than that for someone who would be an important leader like a king. The most important thing is that a king would love God and trust in him and obey what God says. That would be much more important than dressing nice or having big muscles, right? Our story today from the Bible is from 1 Samuel chapter 16. And it's the story of a young shepherd boy named David. He was anointed by a prophet named Samuel. He was anointed to be the next king of Israel. You see, Saul was the first king of Israel. And he started off pretty good, but then things changed. He wasn't obeying the Lord very good anymore. And so the Lord decided, look, Saul, you're not going to continue to be king forever. And so the Lord knew who he was going to have next, but Samuel the prophet did not. So the Lord told Samuel, go to Bethlehem. You need to find Jesse. He's got a bunch of sons, and one of his sons will be the next king. And I'll tell you who it is when you get there. You're to anoint him with oil. He's the next king. Well, Samuel got there and found Jesse, and his sons began to pass by. And he was thinking, wow, that guy, he looks pretty big and tall and strong. Maybe he's the one. He's got to be the one. And then another one passed by, and another one, and the Lord kept telling Samuel, nope, not this one either. I've not chosen this one either. 7 sons passed by, and the Lord said to each one, not this one. And so Samuel asked Jesse, do you have any more sons? And Jesse said, yeah, I do. I have one more, the youngest, but he's watching the sheep right now. Samuel said, go get him. So they waited until David was able to come back. He was maybe only 15 years old at this point. But he came and the Lord told Samuel, he's the one. And so Samuel, in front of David's brothers and David's dad, he got some oil. I've got some vegetable oil from the kitchen at home. He probably didn't use vegetable oil, but what he did was he took some oil and he poured it on David's head. Now you might think, well, that's kind of different. Why would you do that? What's that all about? Well, to be anointed with oil was a very special thing. Sometimes prophets were anointed or kings were anointed, and it was a very special way to say, look, God has chosen you for this very important task. For David, it was to be the next king of Israel. God has chosen you, and God will give you power and wisdom. God will equip you to do this very important task. So, David was anointed with oil. He didn't become king that day, but he would become the king, the next king of Israel. David was a young man who was humble. He trusted in the Lord. That's the kind of guy that the Lord wanted to be the next king of Israel. Well, hey, thanks for listening so carefully to our message today, and we'll see you again next week. Bye-bye.